Morning, everybody. My name is Peter C. We're here at Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado, and today we're going to be looking at a 2026 Winnebago EKKO. This is the 23B. There's two Winnebago EKKOs. There's a 22A and a 23B. The 23B is built on a Mercedes Sprinter 3500 all-wheel drive chassis. This is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel, which makes 211 horsepower and 332 foot-pounds of torque. In total, this coach is going to be 24 feet 8 inches long and 10 feet 11 inches high. So to get started, we're going to take a quick tour on the exterior before we head on inside. So as I mentioned, this is an all-wheel drive coach, and you have these BF Goodrich KO3 all-terrain tires all the way around for all 6 tires, as this is a dually. And then coming around the front here, you have this nice step to be able to get up and clean off the windshield, since obviously this coach is a little bit taller for the shorter folk out there. Then we'll get started by going through some of our compartments on this side, here on our driver's side. So our first compartment is going to house the batteries for this coach. This is going to be a single 320 amp hour Lithionics lithium battery. This is the standard to come with one 320 amp hour battery, but there is an option to double it, where instead of having a single 320, you'll actually have a single 630 amp hour lithium. So that is an option. If you want to custom order an EKKO that way, you can get essentially double the lithium battery capacity. This lithium is going to be charged by a couple different things. So number one, in our second bay over there, we're going to have a 2800 watt propane generator that'll pull off our propane tanks, which we'll see on the other side. There's also 530 watts of solar on the roof that's going to charge this battery. And finally, there is a dedicated second alternator in the engine bay that will also charge this battery. So your solar, your generator, and that second alternator are all going to feed into this lithium battery. Our next compartment right here is going to house our gray tank pump. So your shower is going to actually sit right above this. This is a pump that's going to be activated whenever it senses water coming to it, and it lets it know to pump that water back to your gray tanks. Your gray tanks you can't drain down to your gray tanks via gravity, because our gray tanks on this coach will actually sit up underneath the beds. So it keeps all of that water up in the coach with you where it's climate controlled. It's not going to be down below where you have to worry about it freezing. So this pump just helps to push that water back to those gray tanks, since you can't drain there by gravity. Our next compartment right here is going to be our generator. So a 2500 watt propane generator, and this will be controlled by your touch panel inside the coach. And then above here is going to be our cassette toilet. So this coach doesn't have a traditional black tank. You have what's called a cassette toilet. The way this works is when you flush your toilet, it's going to go to this little suitcase right here. This just little thing just pulls out like that. You twist this valve to the side, unscrew it, and empty it. So allows you to have a little bit more flexibility than a traditional black tank, because you can empty this anywhere, any national forest where there's a pit toilet, anything like that. You're going to be able to empty this versus having to rely on going to a campground to pump out your black tanks. Coming down a little farther, right here up top, we're going to have our solar expansion port. So again, this does have 530 watts of solar, but if you wanted to add additional solar in the form of like a suitcase solar or something like that, you can plug that in right there. And then below that is going to be our 30 amp, it's called a smart plug, 30 amp shore power. So if you see this little GLN right here, this will actually light up green, letting you know your shore power source is good, that there's nothing wrong with the ground or the neutral. If there is something wrong with that shore power source, this will actually blink red, just to indicate that you need to unplug that shore power before you cause some kind of electrical damage to the coach. Our next bay here is going to be our wet bay. So this coach has 50 gallons of fresh water capacity and 51 gallons of gray water capacity. Again, no black tank. It's just going to be that 5-gallon cassette toilet. So starting from the top, up here, we're going to have a patio light switch for this light up here. We'll have a water pump switch right there. And this is going to be a gravity fill for your freshwater tanks. You do have your pressurized fill, of course, but if you ever needed to fill this via gravity, if you didn't have access to pressurized fresh water, that's what this gravity fill is for. Down here is going to be your freshwater inlet. We do have an outdoor shower here, just this little quick connect, so you can hook up a little quick connect hose to this and you have hot and cold water outdoors. Down below that, you actually have a satellite and cable hookup. If you're at one of the campgrounds that still has cable, you can hook up your cable there. There is one TV on the inside. And then all the way down at the bottom, we're just gonna have the blade valve for your gray water tank dump. And again, it is a 51-gallon gray tank. Moving on back, rear of this is going to be our garage. So this is one of the really cool things about the EKKO is this rear gear garage. In total, the EKKO has almost 65 cubic feet of exterior storage, and most of that is all going to be in this rear gear garage. So if we take a look in here, you're gonna have L tracks on either side. We have an L track up front and an L track in the rear. What that's gonna allow you to do is basically hook into that to allow you to have a tether point. If you put bicycles, containers, anything like that back here that you don't want to slide around, you're gonna have those two tether points in order to hold it in place. We have two little push button lights out here on either side. We have 110 outlets as well as cigarette outlets on either side. And then there is a heat vent to this compartment. So one cool thing about the storage on EKKOs is every single one of your exterior bays, except for your propane, which we'll go over on the other side, every single one of your exterior bays is going to have a dedicated heat vent to it. So you're not gonna have to worry about something you put back here. Maybe if you travel with e-bikes that have lithium batteries on them, you're not gonna have to worry about them freezing if they're in the gear garage. One cool thing, they do these molly panels on both of your garage doors. So what these are good for is you can take some carabiners and just clip them on here. So if you have a lot of miscellaneous gear, maybe ropes or whatever you hike with, helmets, you can just clip all that on this panel right here on the door, make it all easy access and keep everything in the garage very nice and organized. All right, so heading around the back here, we're gonna see another door to our garage because we have 3 in total, but this rear door is actually on gas struts and gives you just a little place of shelter. If you're trying to work in your garage when it's raining or it's snowing, this is just gonna give you a little bit of shelter to keep you dry while you're doing that. And it also is gonna make it really easy to be able to access anything heavy that you need to put in the center of this. You're not gonna have to reach over from the sides in order to pull it out. Down below, we do have a tow hitch with the 7-way receiver on here. So this has a 5,000-pound towing capacity. So if you wanted to tow a small car or maybe a trailer, if you wanted to put a hitch rack on it for even more storage, or for bicycles or motorcycles, it is a 1,000-pound vertical weight limit for that hitch. Every single EKKO is going to come standard with the ladder here to be able to access the roof. Again, there is 530 watts of solar up there. You're not going to be able to put any cargo boxes or anything additional for storage on the roof because it is all taken up with those solar panels. But what that ladder is going to allow you to do is get up there and clean off and maintain your solar panels. If you're camping here in Colorado, we have a lot of really sunny days where it's also dumped 5 inches of snow the night before, so that allows you to be able to get up there and clean off those solar panels so they can function. Then we're gonna have one more door here to access our garage. And again, same molly panel as on the other side, the same 110 outlet, light, and everything in there. All right, so next compartment here is gonna be our propane. This is one of the cool things on the EKKO. Most RVs, you're gonna have a propane tank that either sits down below or sits down between the frame rails, and it's not gonna be removable. You're gonna have to go to a truck stop or a campground in order to pump up propane to fill your tank. What's really nice about these is these are the same exact propane cylinders you'd have for a backyard grill, which means you can find these at any store that you see the cages out front and just swap them out. This is going to run that propane generator we talked about, and it's also going to run our Truma AquaGo right above here. So your Truma AquaGo is for your continuous hot water. You can also hook up a little quick connect to us down here. So if you wanted to bring a backyard grill or something and run it off those propane tanks, you can hook that up right there. And then finally, the propane also does supply the heating for this coach. We have what's called a Truma Vario heat, so it's a propane furnace. And again, what's really nice about having these be interchangeable is if you want to go off grid for a longer period of time, you're trying to stay away from having to go to stores and campgrounds to refill your supplies, you can take 2 extra propane cylinders and throw them in your garage, or 3 or 4, however many you want to bring along with you. And that's going to just keep your heat going as long as you need it to. So, you know, the EKKO is really well made for cold weather camping. That's kind of one of the things it's designed for. So if you want to stay off grid a long time and have heating capabilities, this is going to allow you to do that. One thing to note about this compartment is every single storage compartment on the EKKO is going to be heated, and it's also going to have locks on the handles right here, except for this compartment. Since it's propane, it's going to be vented down below. So there is no way, if this propane was to leak, there's no way for it to vent back to the cab. It's all going to vent down below. And of course, these can't be locked because anything with gas, you can't lock it. Now coming down here, we're gonna have some exterior outlets on the outside. So if you have a cooktop or any appliances that you wanna plug in on your campsite here, you'll have a plug-in for that. And then there is a cable hookup down below there. And then we'll have 2 more spots for storage here right next to our camp door. And again, these are all insulated and heated. There's 1 more right over here. And then this is also going to be where we can see our inverter. So if you look all the way in the back of that, that is where our 2000 watt Xantrex inverter is going to be mounted. And one of your inverter switches is going to be located on the back of that storage compartment right there. All right. Now, 2 more quick things to note before we head inside. If you take a look at the nice gray paint that's done on this one, this is actually an optional upgrade for the EKKO. The standard would just be to have a non-painted white box, but this is called the selenite gray. We option a lot of our EKKOs this way just because it ties it together, looks a lot nicer, a little bit more like a stealth camper when it matches the cab. All of your EKKOs are also going to come standard with that carefree awning. Don't have that extended right now because it's about 40 degrees here in Colorado and we like to get a little sun while doing these videos, but it is an automatic awning that's going to extend all the way out, and it has a wind sensor in it as well. So if you're camping somewhere and you start to get wind gusts, it will automatically retract itself before you rip it off. All right, now heading inside here, we're gonna have an automatic step. This step is gonna be activated when you open the door, but there is an override switch right inside the door. So if you want your step to just stay out while you're at your campground, there's gonna be a switch you can flip for that. We have this nice screen door in here. One cool thing I always like to point out with this screen door is the material they chose for the inside of this. A lot of screen doors you'll see are just gonna be kind of mesh, whereas if you had a dog or any pets on the inside, they'd just be able to scratch right through it. Winnebago started doing this about 2 years ago, where they put this kind of chain link here. So if you leave dogs in your camper with just your screen door shut so you can get some air in there, you're not gonna have to worry about them scratching through the screen door or causing any damage to it. Now heading inside here, on the right side of our step, we're gonna have our fire extinguisher mounted right there. So very easy to access. And then on the left, when you come in, we'll take a look at some of the controls here. So going from left to right, over here, we're going to have the controls for that carefree awning we talked about. So again, this is automatic, just 1 button for retract, 1 button for extend. Right here, we're gonna have that step override switch. So if you wanted your step to just stay out, you just flip this on. We have our coach battery disconnect. So your coach battery disconnect is going to disconnect those lithium batteries from everything in the house, just functionally killing everything in here. And then 3 light switches right there. And then finally a 110 outlet housed right here underneath your kitchen countertop. All right. Now heading on inside, we'll get started by taking a look at our living area right here. So this is a little bit multifunctional. There's a couple things you can do here. On this side, we're gonna have one of our sofa seats. This one is gonna be fixed in place, and you do have a lap belt, so your passenger would be facing towards that window right there. On the other side, this is where you can customize this a little bit. So right now, this is set up sort of as opposing sofas. You could seat about 2 adults here, 1 adult here. Both of your front seats are going to spin around, so you could comfortably seat around about 5 adults this way, with it set up sort of in the lounge setup. Now, if you want to change this, what you can do is we'll shift these cushions around right here. these two will be removed, and you'll just throw these back in the bedroom or in the garage. And then we have a table that's going to hinge up on the wall right there. Connects to the wall. And then this allows you to have a little workstation. So if you're on the road, good spot to be able to sit and work on a laptop or something like that. Right above it, we have 110 outlets, USB and USB-C charging ports. So again, if you're using this as a workstation for your laptop, you have dedicated spots to charge right there. And then this side is going to have your 3-point forward-facing harness. So in total, there's going to be seat belts for 4 passengers in this coach, 2 in the rear and 2 in the front seats. Now, there's going to be a table that mounts here as well. Right in the center here, you'll have a post and a table for this that sits back in the bedroom. So you can have a pretty large table that'll cover most of this area. Again, there's comfortable seating for about 5 adults here, and the table is about big enough for 5 adults as well. And this will also turn into a small bed. So when this is collapsed down, and we put these cushions back in place here, your table will actually sit on these slats you see right there. You can rearrange your cushions, and you can turn this into a twin bed that's going to be as wide as this cushion is right here and as long as the cab. So more than comfortable for 1 adult, certainly for a child. Now take a look at some of the storage we have up here in our living area. We're going to have 1 overhead storage compartment right there. We have our manuals in there right now. All of your overhead storage compartments are going to have felt along the bottom, so it's going to help keeping anything from getting scratched in there. Also helps with some sound installation. And we have this nice steel brace right here. So the weight bearing capacity of this shelf, I believe, is about 100 pounds because of this steel brace. So it's going to allow you to actually utilize that fully with a lot of storage. Now behind that, we're going to have our opening window here. What's really cool about all of the windows on the EKKO is, number one, these are all double pane acrylic, which means they're extremely well insulated compared to normal residential windows. They're not going to leak heat or cooling like most glass windows would. Now these windows will open in about 3 stages. If you hear those clicks right there, you can open it all the way out to there. So it's going to allow a ton of fresh air to come in here. And then every single one of these windows also has your cassette shades built into the window frame. So right there we have our day shade. This would also double as a bug screen if you wanted to leave these windows open and let some fresh air in here. This would be a good bug screen for you. And then there's also going to be a blackout shade that's built right into the window frame. And that's going to be the same for every single window in the house portion of this coach. We'll shift up front here a little bit to our overhead cap here. So we're going to have storage on either side of our TV. What's housed in here right now is going to be our insulated curtain. So this curtain, if you see these little button snaps that are going to go all the way around the cab here, again, we talk about how the EKKO is kind of an all seasons coach, you know, our double pane acrylic windows, all of the things that go into this to make it really well insulated. The least well insulated part of this RV is going to be the cab up front. That's where you have your single pane glass windows. Those are not going to be nearly as insulated as anything back here. So if you can, what you're going to want to do is isolate that off, and that's what this cab curtain is for. Has a reflective backing on it, so you'll snap that in all the way around the front, and it'll keep all of the air up here separate from everything in the house. Another thing that's nice about that is if you're camping in really hot climates and you get in your EKKO to drive, if you have that cab curtain in place, when you turn on your chassis AC is going to work a lot better if it's only having to cool what's up here. So another nice way to use it. Right in the center, we're going to have our TV with our Bluetooth soundbar. So this is a Bluetooth soundbar. If you want to just connect your phone to this and use it as a speaker, you can do that. And then a little bit of storage over here on the other side. And if you look all the way in the back of that, there's going to be a 110 outlet in there. And then on the most right side, there's actually an HDMI hookup. So if you wanted to connect that HDMI port to stream anything to this TV, maybe use a Roku, or you want to play your PlayStation on it even, you can use that HDMI port right there to connect to this TV. Now on our other side here, we're going to have more outlets, same as the other side. So we have our 110 outlets, USB and USB-C charging ports, as well as a light switch for this little overhead light strip here in the living area. Same exact windows we saw on the other side with those built-in shades. And then a little bit of storage above that. And again, this has felt on the bottom. And then in our living area here, if you look up at the ceiling, we're gonna have our one exhaust fan of this coach. So if you don't wanna run your AC unit, the exhaust fan is a really nice way to be able to just pull out all that hot air. If you open all your windows on the side and turn on that exhaust fan, it keeps a really good airflow going through here. All right, now if you wanna switch sides with me, Jody, we'll head into our kitchen and get started on our countertop here. So you're gonna have nice stainless steel basin sink with your sprayer wand for your hose here. We have an opening window behind your kitchen. So if you're cooking here and you have, you know, food smells or whatever going on, you can open this window to help pull all that air out of here. And underneath that, we're gonna have 3 drawers here. And then our top one is going to house our induction cooktop. So the 23B EKKO does not have a gas cooktop like you'd have on the 22A EKKO. It has an induction cooktop. So this induction cooktop is removable. You can take this and put it wherever you want. It's just gonna hook up to any 110 outlet. So you have a 110 outlet over here, you have a 110 outlet on this side, you have a 110 outlet on the exterior. Anywhere you wanna take this and hook it up is where you're gonna do your cooking. And then we have 2 more drawers beneath that. And then a little bit of storage here underneath the sink. And then in the back there, you're gonna have your whole house water filter. That's that little white cylinder on the right side there. And then look into all the overhead cabinets here. This is gonna come with a convection microwave. So you don't have to worry about not having an oven. Having a convection microwave is a really nice thing to have on the road if you're gonna do any cooking. Above that, we have a little bit more storage up here. So good, you know, low profile spot for a skillet, cutting boards, anything like that you need for your cooking. And then 1 overhead cabinet all the way over here. This is gonna have 2 adjustable shelves in here, so you can customize this however you like, or if you wanna just remove those shelves, you know, put a taller item in there, maybe a coffee maker. There is an outlet all the way in the top left corner, so if you wanted to use this for a dedicated spot for a coffee maker, you're gonna have dedicated charging right there for that. All right, now we'll shift towards the refrigerator here. So this is going to be a 12-volt compressor-driven refrigerator. We have a nice produce drawer on the bottom, a couple of shelves in here, and then all the way at the top is going to be our freezer. So just this little chest freezer. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up for the kitchen. Now, we'll take a look at the overhead cabinet here because this is where some of our controls are going to be housed. Now, the top one, let me pull this panel out. The top one is just gonna have a little bit of storage with your felt there. And if you look to the back, you have an outlet there. Again, USB and USB-C charging ports for any devices you wanna put up there. If you look all the way up to the roof at that little black circle up there, that is actually a dedicated roof access port. So if you wanted to set up like a Starlink Mini or something, it makes it really easy having that roof access port. You're not gonna have to worry about drilling holes in the roof of your coach or anything like that. Down here from left to right, we're gonna have our solar charge controller for that 530 watts of solar on the roof. Center one right here is going to control our generator as well as our AC unit. So right here under power, we're just gonna start and stop our generator from there. It'll also display your chassis battery voltage. We have our environment controls. So this is gonna allow you to control your AC unit. This coach does have a 13.5K BTU ducted AC unit, and all the controls for that are here. So we can go in here and turn this on to cool, and we can control our fan speed from there. And then finally, we have our fresh and gray tank monitors right there. So right now, both those tanks are at 0%. And then all the way over on the right, this is going to be one of the controls for that 2000 watt Xantrex inverter that we talked about. This is just one of those inverter switches for that. All right, now we'll take a look at our bathroom here. The bathroom is one of the really cool things on the EKKO. So this is sort of like a wet bath, but it's sort of a convertible situation where, you know, it is a wet bath, but it's not gonna feel like it. So right now we have it set up with your sink and your toilet. Your toilet is on a swivel base, so you can turn that whatever direction is most comfortable for you. You have an outlet in the back there. We have the same opening windows as everywhere else, and then a little bit of storage all the way up at the top. And there is actually a dedicated AC vent for the bathroom as well, so that doesn't get too stuffy in there. But when you want to use this as a shower, what you're going to do is grab this wall right here. This whole wall is going to swivel over like that, and then there's going to be a clip for it to hold it up at the top. But now this is set up as your shower, and for a 24-foot, 8-inch van, this is an extremely roomy shower compared to what you're going to get on a lot of other Class C campers. This is a nice fiberglass wall, so you're not going to have to worry about anything in this basin getting wet, but you do have a shower curtain that's going to go all the way around on this track here, just to make sure all the water stays here in the basin with you. And then removable shower head in the back here. This shower head has this nice switch on it, so you can just switch on or off your water. So when you turn your water pump on, you don't have to worry about wasting your water. You can just turn it on and off right here on the shower head. And then when you're ready to switch it back, all you do is push that wall back into place, and it's going to lock itself in there. And then there is going to be a button snap all the way at the top, just for a little added layer of security to make sure that wall doesn't move while you're driving. Now, right here in the center, we're going to have the intake for our AC unit. So again, this is a 13.5K BTU AC. You're going to have 5 AC ducts in total throughout this coach, which means if you want to close your front AC ducts and just leave your bedroom AC ducts open while you're sleeping, you can maximize your cooling potential just to the back of the coach. Now, coming back into the bedroom here, we'll take a look at our controls on the wall right here. So this is going to be our controls for our Truma. So this is your Truma AquaGo and your Truma Vario heat. So that's going to be our continuous water heater, and our propane furnace is controlled from here. So if you see that little blinking coach symbol, right there, that is going to be for your coach heating, and then the water right there is going to be to turn on that Truma AquaGo, and then you can control the fan speed for your propane furnace from there as well. Down below that, we're just going to have 2 light switches for here in the bedroom, and one of those is going to be for that little night light down by my feet. So you do have a night light if you need to get out of bed in the middle of the night and use the restroom. You have just a little bit of lighting there to make sure you don't trip on the steps right here. All right, so take a look at some of the storage here in the bedroom. We're gonna have this storage underneath on either side, and this is hanging storage. So if we look all the way up in the top, there is a curtain rod in there. It's gonna allow you to be able to hang some clothing. And then 2 drawers underneath here as well. Now, right now we have this set up in our twin bed configuration. So you'll have 2 twin bed. These are going to be 32 inches wide by 80 inches long. Now, what's really cool about these is these little Frolly springs they have underneath. So these actually allow fresh air to get in under here. You're not going to have to worry about mold growth or anything like that, but they also keep the mattresses nice and cool as well. And they also act as what you would have with box springs. They just provide a little bit more support for your mattress. But both of your platforms here are actually going to be on gas struts. So these whole things will raise up like that. And now that's going to allow you to top load all of the storage you have in there. And here on our passenger side, all the way in the back, you have this little secret storage cubby back there. So really good spot for, you know, any of your valuables, passports, jewelry, anything like that that you need to keep a little bit more hidden. This coach doesn't have a safe, but that is a good spot that you wouldn't really know about unless you're familiar with the EKKO, you're familiar with the way, you know, these bed platforms raised up. All right, now if we want to switch this into a larger bed platform, we're going to have this piece right here. This piece just moves around, and you're going to have this hard plastic backing on it with some cup holders in here. So if you're sleeping with the twin bed configuration, you'd kind of use this as a nightstand. Gives you a nice hard surface to set drinks, food, anything like that while you're here in the bedroom. But if you want to convert this into the larger bed platform, you're going to take this, flip it over like that, and just set it down in the center. And now this is going to give you almost a king size bed platform. and it's going to enable you to be able to sleep east to west instead of north to south. When you're done with that, really easy, just flip it back over and set it back in the center. Now all the way in the rear here, we have some more overhead storage on either side here. And right in the center, we're gonna have some outlets for charging. So we have our 110 outlets here, USB and USB-C ports. And there is another 110 outlet and USB-C port on both sides on the inside wall of these storage compartments. So you have tons of spots to plug in to charge any of your devices, iPads, laptops, anything like that. We also have our night lights here. So these night lights have a blue light and a lamp light. You're gonna have one on either side, and those are just controlled by that little switch right there. And underneath all of your charging ports here, you also have this little punch through in the center. So if you wanna, plug in your charging cords here and just drop the cords down through this just to keep it a little bit cleaner, leave everything here at night to charge, that's what that port is for. All right, now again, same windows we have everywhere else in the coach. These are going to be those opening windows. This side's technically your emergency exit, but allows you to get a ton of fresh air through here while you're sleeping. If you really like that camping experience when you're in your camper, you can open your windows all the way on both sides, close the bug screens right there, and it's really going to allow you to have that camping feel when you're out in nature, to allow all that fresh air to come in here. Couple of cool things to note with the bedroom. Again, because this is a ducted AC, we have 2 AC vents here in the bedroom. So if you're camping in really hot climates and you're someone that really needs to stay cool in order to sleep, you can close all your AC vents in the front of the coach and only leave the AC vents open back here. And it's going to keep all that cold air back here with you. Same thing for your heat, actually. So your heat is going to be ducted as well. And if you look all the way back here on the right side, you're gonna have one heat duct right there. So again, if you're camping in a really cold climate and you need to stay warm back here, you can just leave that one heat vent open and close all the heat vents up in the front of the coach, keeps all the hot air back here to keep you warm. And then finally, if we look at the wall back here on our driver's side, so up top, you're gonna see an outlet and a cable hookup there. Now, they do not come standard from the factory with a TV, but they are made with the supports behind this wall right here. So if you wanted to mount a TV there, you have the cable hookup and the 110 outlet right there in order to do that. If that's something that you wanted on your EKKO, that is something we can do here at Transwest for you if you'd like to have a TV installed back here in the bedroom. All right, so now we're gonna head up to the cab and finish our tour up here. So again, as we mentioned before, these are both going to be 180-degree swivel seats. So right now I have this one turned around to face towards the living area, and the driver's seat will turn around as well. Both of these are going to be powered memory seats, which means you have 3 memory settings that'll just adjust it to whatever orientation you have programmed based on the click of a button. And these are also heated seats. Now go ahead and start it real quick. Take a look at some of the safety features that are built in here. So this is gonna have adaptive cruise control, active lane assist, active braking assist, all of the safety features that you'd expect from a newer vehicle. Now, if you look up towards the top, this is gonna be our digital rear view camera. So obviously if you had a rear view mirror, you wouldn't be able to see out of the back of this coach. There's no window back there. So this digital rear view camera is going to act as a rear view mirror. It is always on when you're driving down the road. So it's gonna allow you to see all the cars behind you when you're going down the highway, make sure no one's following you too closely. Just makes it much safer to use. And then right here, show you how we can just toggle all this off and on. So your navigation right here supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both wireless. So you can use that for your navigation, your music, anything off of your phone. But if you go in here to settings, one cool thing about this is just how easy it is to turn off and on all of your safety features. So you have your downhill speed regulation right there. We have our collision avoidance features, so active braking assist, lane keeping assist, blind spot assist. We can just toggle all of that off or on with the click of a button. Your traffic sign assist, All of this is really easy. A lot of people like to have the active brake assist and the active lane assist. A lot of people find that to be an annoying feature in a vehicle. So I always just find it nice how easy it is to get in there and turn all that off or on if you wanted to. And then all the way down here, we're gonna have the HVAC controls. So this actually has the automatic AC controls, which means you just program this to whatever temperature you want it to hold in the cab, and it's going to change your fan speed and your temperature based on whatever it needs to do in order to maintain that temperature. And then we also have our backup camera that'll come on here. So you have your backup camera as well as your rear view mirror. Your backup camera is going to see down right on the back of your coach. So it's much more useful for maneuvering. Your rear view digital camera right here is going to see way back and behind you. So it's not really what you want to rely on when you're trying to maneuver your coach here. All right, so that's gonna wrap up our tour for today. Again, my name is Peter C. All of my information, my cell phone number and my personal email are all right there. If you have any questions about this coach, you're interested in maybe ordering an EKKO special to your own specs, or you wanna stop by Transwest and check one out and go for a test drive, please reach out to me. Thanks for watching our video.